Brief presentation will introduce RyanAir Holding plc's current situation, identify its major markets, analyze the external business environment through various models, recognize its capabilities, and identify major opportunities, threats, strengths, and weaknesses within its current strategy. RyanAir is headquartered in Dublin, Ireland. It operates a low-fare scheduled passenger airline serving short-haul, point-to-point routes between the UK, Ireland, continental Europe, and Morocco. They offer various ancillary services, scheduled services, relevant insurance packages, internet services, and in-flight sales of beverages, food, and merchandise. RyanAir began as a small airline, flying from Waterford to London Gatwick. The company went public in 1997 and expanded into a pan-European carrier. In 2014, the initiative Always Getting Better was launched. According to RyanAir, they are Europe's #1 airline, carrying over 130 million passengers on over 2,400 daily flights. They have a team of over 14,500 staff and deliver Europe's #1 on-time performance. RyanAir's AGB initiative has seen improvements across the airline. It also shows RyanAir branching out to provide other services aiming to increase customer loyalty. RyanAir's customers prove that affluent demographics still choose to fly budget despite greater spending power, and bad publicity does not deter them. RyanAir's operating revenue steadily increases and operating expenses steadily increase. This is to be expected as their operations expand and services increase. The break-even load factor is relatively low in comparison to the booked passenger load factor, which entails the airline is in high demand. The cost per booked passenger versus the average booked passenger fare highlights the risks of running an LCC, as the cost is higher than the fare. However, the ancillary revenue offsets this and has become a large aspect of RyanAir's business plan, as they have recently updated their onboard baggage policy and are now charging for carry-on luggage. It should also be noted that RyanAir uses secondary city airports such as London Luton rather than London Heathrow, as they charge much less. This business model is focused on a low operational cost. Quick ground turnarounds of 25 minutes and operating over 2,400 flights daily and using a sophisticated routing system has allowed RyanAir to have one of the most efficient fleet operations in Europe. The tight financial margins allows the company to offer such cheap flights, therefore holding its USP and keeping to the company's mission. The lack of ad spending against consistently strong sales proves there is strong brand awareness. However, it should be acknowledged that the media narrative for RyanAir is consistently unfavourable, but RyanAir remains profitable regardless. The pestle analysis provides a framework for tourism organisations to analyse opportunities and threats in part of their external operating environment. RyanAir is registered in Ireland. However, as the airline maintains large bases in the UK, unfavourable Brexit outcomes could negatively influence operations in the UK. Michael O'Leary, amongst other industry leaders, founded Airlines for Europe, a group who lobby the EU for better airline conditions. In 2017, RyanAir outperformed the global airline industry despite difficult operating conditions such as terrorism and Brexit. After the UK's complete leave from the EU, a recession will occur according to Rodinova, reducing demand for leisure travel, though currently the passengers are very price sensitive and will use the airline with the cheapest fares. The expansion of low-cost airlines is mostly due to the growth in disposable income, allowing a wider population to travel. RyanAir have very poor media representation, as shown previously. There is growing evidence that only airlines that integrate digital channels into their distribution and marketing strategies will survive. This integration will allow for better understanding of consumer behaviour. RyanAir is ranked the most efficient airline in terms of CO2 emissions per passenger mile. Their current fleet have a reduced noise footprint of 86% over the previous one. The new Boeings, arriving in spring 2019, will reduce noise by up to 40% per seat. Treatment and contract disputes have also resulted in strikes across the airline. This is impacted by Brexit, where in the case of a hard scenario, airlines will be subject to restrictions that could reduce demand. Porter's Five Forces model can be applied to determine the level of competitiveness RyanAir faces. The threat of new entry is low within the LCC market as profit margins are thin and the market is currently saturated with other airlines and their subsidiaries. The threat of substitution is relatively weak in the European airline industry, as depending on the route, flying is the only viable option. RyanAir's fleet is dependent on Boeing aircrafts, as the entirety of the fleet is Boeing. Pilots also have considerable bargaining power, as was demonstrated during the strikes mentioned earlier. Consumers are driven by price and convenience, with little brand loyalty, particularly with LCCs. Also, as many flights are now purchased online, customers are able to compare prices instantly. RyanAir has partnered with Air Europa and expanded into Eastern European markets to challenge Wizz Air and EasyJet. Monarch Airlines filing for bankruptcy shows the competitiveness in the industry, but should alleviate some pressure in the intense price war. RyanAir's low-cost business model has been very successful so far. Having all aircraft the same in their fleet has helped to reduce cost. The brand is well known, particularly within the UK and Ireland. Their Always Getting Better scheme is clearly working and improving customer care amongst other initiatives and have proved to enhance the profitability of the company. The portrayal of Ryanair in the media is almost never positive, and CEO Michael O'Leary's responses rarely offer clarity to the situation. The lack of loyalty from customers is typical for the LCC market, but remains a weakness for the company. The improvement of Ryanair's online services has been vital to their financial performance, and through continuous improvements, they should continue to draw in more online sales of flights and other subsidiary services, such as hotel and ground transportation, run through their partners. The plans to expand Ryanair's current fleet should provide a major opportunity to carry more passengers and operate more routes. Intense competition from Wizz Air and EasyJet could impact Ryanair's ability to grow passenger volumes as well as expand its operational network. Ryanair is already trying to combat this by operating routes in Eastern Europe for lower fares. The development of online transaction platforms such as Expedia and Kayak offers customers the opportunity to book entire trips on websites that guarantee the best price across all airlines, rather than separating the purchasing process. As a result, loyalty is jeopardized. Thank you for listening to this analysis of Ryanair's current strategy.